Dun, 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 dun. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Just Because Wrestling. I'm pausing now because the recording stayed on zero for ages, so I don't know where this starts or not. But hello, great start
Yeah,
to the
as always.
first major pay per view of 2020 or
1.
2021 for the WWE. I just can't escape 2020 in my mind. Um,
Well, to be
but
fair, 2020 has been going on for about 18 months now. So
yeah, and 2021 in this country anyway is even worse. So
yeah, literally, it actually is. That's the thing. Well, yeah, and the hilarious thing is, like, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait for the bell to ring 12 on midnight on December 31st. Ring in 2021. 2020 will be over." And I was sitting here like, man, 2021 is gonna suck as much as
yeah,
I don't know where. What? Yeah, on midnight, December 31st, the coronavirus is just gonna vanish.
yeah,
But
yeah.
no,
But anyway,
it's
that's
still
a
hard times.
that's a lovely start to this podcast, which
Life is
is
pain.
what was it been said? Life's a bitch, and then you
Then you
die.
die.
Yeah, Vince being the voice of reason in 2021, huh? Who would have thought?
Anyway, yeah,
Um,
narrating the year
yeah. So we are on the. I always say on the eve when it's not.
on the eve
It's
or not. It's too well. You can say on the eve, and we can release it on the eve. But
we probably won't. We'll probably release tomorrow. So it's Thursday. We're on the Thursday before
yeah,
Royal Rumble,
that's it. Yeah.
and we're on the road to Royal Rumble, as they say. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Best pay per view of the year.
do you think it's always? I think we have this every Royal Rumble episode, but do you think it's the best pay per view of the year?
Yes, because I think the Royal and it's so annoying because it's the first WWE pay per view anyway of the year that, like, it's so annoying that WWE usually, I'm not going to say peaks because there are years where they don't, but, like, you know, it's the most exciting time of the year, and then everything is downhill from here, and, like, it'll slowly cascade until December when WWE is at its worst, and it'll just hit rock bottom. But
But
no,
see,
I think. Go on, sorry, go on.
see, I think it starts on a high and then it kind of like goes down in a bit of a valley and then starts coming up like around WrestleMania again. I think the Royal Rumble
Yeah.
and WrestleMania are the two high points, and then
Oh, they are, yeah. No, they
it,
are. But
it will decline again.
I think, like, every so often, like every year, if you go back every year, there's, like, you know, the Rumble's usually pretty good. I mean, obviously there's years where it's been fairly controversial and ruined the event because, let's face it, like, you could produce an absolute amazing card, amazing undercard, but if the Rumble match itself is crap, then, like, that's what it's going to be remembered for.
Yeah,
And I think it's the one time of the year anyway in WWE where everyone's hopeful. Everyone's like, oh, but look, what if such and such wins the Rumble? What if such and such debuts? You get a tease of what's going to be coming ahead for WrestleMania, and you get an idea of where the plans are going. And it kind of, everyone's excitement, I think, is at a fever pitch come the Rumble, because after that, after the Rumble, they have to start booking towards WrestleMania, and that's when they usually start slipping up, and things
yeah.
get
Like
frustrating.
I think the Rumble sets the tone for the rest of the year in WWE. Like usually, if they have a good Rumble, they end up having a solid year. Like for example, like to me, one of the best Royal Rumbles of all time is 2001, which ended up being the most successful year in the company.
Yeah.
And if you even if you
Well, if
go
you use
back
that,
to, sorry,
go
go
on.
on.
And I was going to say that's interesting logic to use because, like, last year, which was kind of viewed as, a year you could write off, especially for a lot of wrestling. I know that we didn't cease operations, but, you know, last year became probably the hardest year to be a professional wrestler in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And but they had an unbelievable Royal Rumble,
Mm.
and that led to one of the best years, I would say, in WWE in recent memory anyway. Like there was countless, like when you think about it, there was countless really good shows. Like every pay-per-view was memorable in some sense. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like when you think about it, it is quite interesting logic. It does kind of set the tone.
For me, I'm trying to think of years where it didn't. Like
2015.
Yeah, but like 2015 was a bad year in wrestling.
Well,
So,
2015 was a meh year. It was just because like
but
there
it was
was
also a Met Rumble, so it did
that's
set
it.
that
Like,
tone.
yeah.
But like I'm talking about, was there a year where the actual wrestling was bad throughout the year, but there was a good Rumble, or like a bad Rumble and a good year? The only one I can really think of is 2010, where the Rumble was great, but the rest of the year wasn't.
Great.
Other than that, though, I think that's the exception. I think the Royal Rumble always sets the tone for the year.
And even at that, like it's really hard to have a bad Royal Rumble. There's usually some aspect of the Rumble that's entertaining. Like
I think what makes the Royal Rumble bad is the finish. You know.
Yeah.
Like whether a Royal Rumble is a success or not is determined on who actually wins it, because like it's the most consequential pay-per-view in WWE's calendar year, because whoever wins this is getting a major push for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So if like in 2015, let's say, like everyone wanted Daniel Bryan to win. No one wanted Roman to win. Roman wins. That's why it's considered a bad Rumble. It was like the match itself was actually really good, or good enough. But like
towards the end, it was terrible. Like
yeah, and like then you're setting a bad tone then, because they're going with Roman for Mania, and that's the plan then. And I'm trying to think of other examples, and like that's the prime example.
If I can offer an example, that's kind of the antithesis of that. If you think back to the 2018 Royal Rumble, like the whole match was good, but the whole match was actually stellar. But if you think when it got down to the final 6, when it was Cena, Orton, Mysterio, who else was there? Nakamura, Roman, and Finn and Balor. Like when it was those 6, from that point on, like the match was unbelievable, because you had the new guard versus the old guard thing, and then it went down to the final 4 of Finn, who has been in there since number 2, I think. Roman, who was Roman wins it all at that point. Nakamura, who everyone wanted to win, and I think it was Cena was left as well. And like straight away, you're like, what's going on? And like when it got down to the point of Nakamura and Reigns, like you were like, we have the people's choice and the company's choice. What one are they gonna go with? And those, like, I remember watching that Rumble live, and when it was those 2 left, it was some of the most intense like viewing I've ever seen, because like at any minute you were like, Roman's gonna throw him out now, and that's gonna be it. Like, and
it's because it was very high stakes.
Yeah,
it's
and like the whole Rumble was great. Don't get me wrong. Like the return of Rey Mysterio was unbelievable. Like the debuts of Andrade and Adam Cole as the surprise entrant, and they both had like great runs. It wasn't just they were in and out in 5 minutes. They had like really good runs in the match.
Yeah.
But like, just those last 2 and just going on, I was just like, oh my god, like it was like you said, proper stakes, because you knew if Nakamura won, we were getting Nakamura and AJ at WrestleMania. I mean, we can talk about what that turned out to be later. Like, that's grand, whatever. But at the time,
that's what people wanted.
Yeah, and then there was like, if Roman wins, we're just gonna get Roman Brock again. I mean,
which we still ended up getting, but like,
but he didn't need the Rumble to get there.
Yeah,
and like, it was such a good Rumble, and
like all fans want to be excited for WrestleMania. Like, I don't care if you hate WWE, or you don't think it's wrestling or whatever. Everyone gets excited. Like, anyone who likes 2 men grappling in a ring is going to get excited around WrestleMania time. So like, what is interesting around that is like the Royal Rumble then determines your excitement for it, because you can get excited for a Nakamura AJ Styles, you can get excited for the coronation of Drew McIntyre, and knowing that they're going with this new star, or like this revamped star, and not fucking Brock or Goldberg or anyone who you'd expect them to go with. So
yeah, not a part-timer or someone who's constantly winning the Rumble, or not constantly winning the Rumble, but constantly in the main event. Like the Rumble, I think, is best used. And I don't want to say elevating someone to like it. I don't want to say elevating someone to kind of superstardom, because I don't always necessarily think that someone kind of out of the blue should win the Rumble all the time. But it's the perfect means of getting a match, of making a match a reality as opposed to a dream. You know what I mean? And like the Nakamura one is a great example. Like, I mean, the seeds for the match with AJ have been sown by then already, but it was just a means how they get there. And the Rumble is the easiest and more often than not best option in making that match a reality and booking it for the card. So like Nakamura was the right choice. Trying to think back, like again, Drew, I wouldn't necessarily call Drew, like I wouldn't say the Rumble elevated Drew. Like he was kind of already, well, it elevated him as well.
Yeah, I think it did. Like I don't like he was on his way to being a top star at that point, but he was just after kind of turning face, and like it was touch and go. He needed a big moment, and he got that when he eliminated Brock, and then all of a sudden we're at the races, and he's going to be a big star. You there?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm trying to think of a time where it didn't elevate someone, but like it still worked. Maybe Cena in 08.
Anytime Austin's won.
Anytime Austin's won. But like I was thinking of 01 especially, because obviously he had won it twice before that. But then I was like, at the time, like you could say, oh, it was just a means of getting to Rock Austin at X7, but Rock wasn't champion by then. Or Rock wasn't champion, but at the Rumble, it wasn't necessarily guaranteed to be Austin and Rock at that stage.
Yeah.
Trying to think what other ones. Edge in 2010, like he was already a star at that point, but it was a means of getting to the Chris Jericho match.
Yeah.
But then again, Jericho wasn't champion when Edge won the Rumble. He won it afterwards. But yeah, you get my point that like it's Rollins is another good example. When Rollins won it, like Rollins was already established former world champion at that point. Like it was just a means of getting to the Brock Lesnar match. So it's not always. I don't always agree in the sense that it needs to be used to elevate a guy. I think the Money in the Bank is actually a better tool for that.
Yeah.
When used correctly, obviously. But with the Rumble, like it's so easy to get right, and it's so easy to get wrong as well. Do you know what I mean? It's a double-edged sword kind of thing. Like
actually, just going back to someone winning and it not elevating them, you're missing the prime example of that is when Triple H won his last one,
2016,
when he won the title.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a way of getting Triple H and Roman at Mania, and it was just like, but it didn't need to happen as well, because like they had been feuding for months at that point. So
yeah, but at the time, like the fans were ready to accept anyone but Roman.
Because like if you remember when Triple H came out, like he got a monster pop.
Yeah,
like, he got a huge pop.
And and I suppose for the fans at the time as well, like especially in the crowd, it's cool to see Triple H win the WWE title once more. Like, because at that point, no one would have thought it would have happened again. Like, So
yeah.
That's these are all kind of like the Rumble is an interesting concept. As you said, it's easy to mess up or it's easy to get very, very right. Just depends on who you go with. So I'm always very, very excited for the Rumble. I'm interested this year because, like, the Royal Rumble is very crowd heavy. It's very
Yeah.
like crowd orientated, like counting down, reaction when the guys come out, the surprise appearances and stuff. It's their one event that relies the most on the crowd.
On a crowd, like, yeah.
So
It'll be interesting, because especially last year they were able to have a crowd for it, and a big crowd at that as well.
Yeah.
So, like, this will be their first time doing a Rumble in an empty arena. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It's weird because usually every year for the Rumble, I like to break down in my head anyway, like how many people realistically could win.
Yeah.
And with the men, I think there's more options with the women's Rumble in my head than the men's. I think the men's is actually harder to predict this year. Just because it's not overtly clear where they're going. It's not overtly clear the women either, but I think there's more kind of safer choices.
And that's what I always like about like certain Rumbles. I prefer a Rumble when there is no clear winner. Like there's certain Rumbles where, like you said, you can either pick the winner straight out, or else you can boil it down to about two people, realistically.
Yeah.
And from there go from there. But this year it's wide open. Like this year I could name like 10 maybe realistic candidates to win the title, to win the Royal Rumble.
10's a lot though.
I definitely could name 10. I'll name them right now.
Well, go on if you're...
Okay, you've Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
Edge.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Trying to think of others here now. Brock. Brock.
Brock's a stretch, but yeah, if he's there.
No,
if he's there.
You always have to back Brock, no matter what. I don't care if he hasn't worked for the company in months.
No, but I'm saying of people. What I mean, people who could realistically win it. I'm talking about people who are actually in the match, who are like currently announced. Like,
okay, Big E.
I don't know. Is Big E as safe a bet now since he's won the IC title?
Okay.
Like if he was still not the champion, I'd be like, yeah, definitely. But like,
I still think there's huge possibilities. There's a huge possibility that John Cena wins this Rumble.
Yeah,
I still think you can't rule that out.
Yeah, but like apparently he's on tap for Mania. It's just a question of what he's doing. Him and Roman would be huge, like, you know what I mean? It'd be.
I was thinking more him and Drew.
Either or would be huge. I
think just him and Drew is an interesting concept because I think him and Roman, number one, they've already wrestled in a big main event match like that, and number two, I don't think he fits that much into the Roman Reigns storyline at the moment with the head of the table stuff. I think the story is better with Drew McIntyre because he's like the guy now on Raw, and Cena was the guy on Raw for many years. So there's a natural story there.
If Cena won it, I'd have mixed feelings towards it. I'd probably be okay with it because I'm fairly confident in saying he wouldn't be winning at Mania. But I'd rather not see him.
Will he level Austin's record?
He has 2 already, so he'll have 3. And that feels like the thing with Cena as well. It feels like they're trying to give him records.
Yeah. And plus, you've the story of him breaking Ric Flair's record as well.
Yeah, that's there too. Yeah. Cena's not a bad shout. Joe, who's a black sheep to win, or a dark horse rather, to win this match. I don't think he will, but I think he'll have a really good showing. Cesaro. I think they've been really heavy pushing Cesaro the last couple of weeks. I mean, he beat Daniel Bryan clean 2 weeks ago. He beat Dolph Ziggler like clean. I know it's Dolph Ziggler, but like it was a clean win for Cesaro on SmackDown. like they're really been pushed, like really been building him. So I think he might have a fairly good showing. He might get the Ironman run. He might do like from number 1 or something to the final 6 or something like that. But
what genuinely wouldn't surprise me either is if Drew beats Goldberg in the opening match and Goldberg comes back and wins the Rumble.
That's my worst fear. That and it's not very far from reality. I reckon that is I promise you that's something that's being floated around as a potential scenario, because apparently
I know what you're going to say, and I was just about to say it, but go on.
Yeah, according to WrestleVotes, a source they have said that there's multiple different scenarios being floated around for the finish of the Royal Rumble, and one of them is scaring the hell out of people. So something that is, and by scary I mean it's not very pleasurable. Whatever they're going to do, people aren't going to be happy with it. Yeah. It's not locked in as of yet, but I'd be scared if we hear Goldberg's music at any point in the Rumble match. I'd be worried.
Yeah,
thing is, if he comes out, he's winning. Like that's the thing. Like if he
and I think that's what's scaring me the most is Goldberg is potentially Goldberg winning it, because nothing could make me less excited for WrestleMania than Goldberg being in the title picture.
I'm trying to think. Remember, there was a scenario. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast or we talked about it off the podcast, but there was a scenario where we were like, it was going to end up being Brock versus Goldberg at Mania for both titles. It was like, I know.
Yeah, I remember vaguely.
It was like Goldberg beats Drew, and then Brock wins the Rumble, and then, what was it? I don't know. I actually don't think. Brock...
I know what it was. It was, I said that Goldberg beats Drew. Drew wins the Rumble, goes on to face Roman, and we get Brock and Goldberg for the other title.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Because nothing would be more WWE than Drew McIntyre losing against Goldberg, winning the Rumble, and not challenging Goldberg in a rematch.
Yeah. True. Do you see that thing actually about what Drew said recently about the Fiend? That like he was asked about did he ever want to work a program with the Fiend, and he said, not while I'm WWE champion. I don't think it makes sense. And
yeah, Drew's a smart guy. Drew's seen the Fiend's title feuds.
Yeah, like he said he doesn't think the Fiend should be near the WWE championship, which is a fair point.
Yeah,
I don't know if Vince will see it that way, but anyway.
Vince, of course, Vince will see it that way. If the Fiend's not there, he can just use Goldberg.
Yeah, he's an interesting for this match. The Fiend will he return in like his as Bray Wyatt? Obviously, I know he's kind of manifested himself in Alexa Bliss now, but like
I saw, which I always have a look at the Royal Rumble odds before we record this thing, and I saw his odds are there's like elimination specials, and the Fiend to eliminate Randy Orton was like 1 to 15 or something like that. It was ridiculously short odds.
It could be. You're probably right, and I reckon that probably will happen, because I think we are getting Fiend Randy at Mania.
Oh, I definitely think we are. But see, I don't actually think it's like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we'll, as bizarre as this sounds, I think not at the Rumble, but at either Elimination Chamber or what's the other pay-per-view in between?
Fastlane.
Fastlane. Fastlane's still a thing. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say at Fastlane, we're going to get Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. I think that match is going to happen now as well.
Yeah, and I think Randy Orton is going to be on the verge of setting... I can't believe I'm saying these words. Setting Alexa Bliss on fire. And we're going to... And then that's going to summon the Fiend back. And whatever fucking weird version of the Fiend this is going to be.
Yeah.
We're going to get him back, and we're going to get his debut match against Randy Orton. His re-debut against Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and I think he's going to kill Randy Orton. I think
Right.
I think Randy Orton is going to be murdered on April 7th or whenever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Fiend's going to be interesting when he comes back. I don't know if it'll be the Rumble, but it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I have like I'll talk about it more when we go into the matches, the men's and women's. But I have an idea of a few potential debuts / returns, and yeah, the Fiend's one that I kind of half thought about. I'm not too sure because they are kind of sort of keeping him on screen with Alexa Bliss, like they're implying that his presence is still there, like, and yeah, I reckon something like that might happen to get Randy out. Like there'll be some, I don't know if he'll actually show up, but there might be a little, like, I don't know, some form of trickery or something, like, or camera work.
Is he announced for the Royal Rumble, Randy?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh, is he? Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting one. Like it could just as easily be Alexa Bliss eliminates him. Like it doesn't pick Randy up and dump him over the top rope, but she is the person, like, distracts him and leads him to be eliminated, and continues that storyline going. I think, like, the man was only set on fire in the last pay-per-view. Like, give him some time off.
No, I know. Yeah, literally, man was burnt alive. Like,
yeah, like, surely WWE's health insurance allows you to take longer time off than that. Actually, no. There's no health insurance. Yeah.
Excuse me, health insurance.
Yeah. What is treating his burns?
What is this thing you speak of?
I just get that image of Bray Wyatt in the A&E, and they're like, "Can you fill out your health insurance form?" He's like, "Oh no," he's like burned to a crisp.
It's like, do you ever see that episode of Scrubs where it's like they show how you get around patients not having insurance, and it just goes up to, like, you just go up to Bray Wyatt, like, burnt to a crisp, being like, "Can you just fill out this form, Mr. Rodriguez?"
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Before we go into breaking down, I know we talked there now for about 20 minutes about the Royal Rumble, but before we get into the actual pay-per-view itself, we were remiss to give a shout out to Andy the Taxman on our last episode. It was a lot of fun having a guest on, and he will not be our last guest. It'll be, and we will definitely have him back on the show, maybe in around another Impact pay-per-view, because I enjoy doing those with him. So so we thank him for coming on the show for our last episode. It was a good episode. So
yeah, it was. It was actually a lot of fun. It was great to have, like, another person's opinions and another person's kind of view on things. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, you can listen to us all day and whatever, but, like, it's great to get kind of another person who sees something differently to how we see it, because we do share a lot of the same views on wrestling.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's not going to be our last guest. We are working on getting more people on the show. It's just a question of when and who, because, and obviously, you know, we have to kind of sort people's schedules as well, given that we can't be in the same room as anyone. We do have to kind of take into account rather, you know, what suits people the best and whatever. But yeah, stay tuned. We while we work out who's going to be on the show next. Should be in the next couple of weeks, so it shouldn't be too long.
And for the meantime,
get a couple.
You can just listen to us.
Get 1 or 2 in on the road to WrestleMania, kind of thing.
Yeah. And check out Grappling with Canada. Andy the Taxman's podcast is a great episode. We spoke about it last week. If you missed the episode, his debut episode on Stu Hart and the Calgary or Canadians. No, hold on, Calgary Stampede. Jesus, my brain is broken.
Canadian Stampede.
No, Canadian Stampede is Stampede Wrestling in Calgary. Sorry. No, Canadian Stampede was that WWE show that they did, remember, in Calgary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there you go. My brain just broke there for a second. But check out his thing on his episode on Stampede Wrestling and Stu Hart. It was a great episode. It's about 3 hours long, but very, very in-depth analysis into the person who was Stu Hart and the Calgary wrestling scene back at that time. And there's more episodes in the pipeline with for Andy, so be sure to give him a like and a follow on the various platforms. But getting back to this week and wrestling and news, WWE effectively have sold their WWE network to USA.
No, NBC.
Is it? Yeah, but it's USA NBC, isn't it?
No, NBC Universal.
I thought USA owned that.
No, I know it's when I saw it, it was NBC Universal's streaming service. So I don't know. I don't think they own it.
Or else NBC own USA. I don't know. I think I read there was a connection, but I could be wrong. I could be easily corrected on that. But yeah, what do you think of that? $1 billion deal again.
Yeah, it's a 5-year deal worth allegedly $1 billion, which is a lot of money. But yeah, it's weird because so NBC Universal streaming service is something called Peacock, and basically you can get the network for all right. If you don't know, you probably do because they say it all the time. But you can get the network for $9.99. That's the monthly price for the network. You can get Peacock Premium for I think $4.99, and if you get Peacock Premium, you can get the entire network. So you can essentially get the network for half price if you go through Peacock. And if you pay, I think $9.99 on Peacock, you get the network and kind of Peacock Premium without ads or something. So I'm not sure. I actually haven't heard of Peacock until this deal was announced. The only thing I know is they have the US office. They have the entirety of the US office on Peacock, but so does Netflix now. And
that's European Netflix, though. The US Netflix don't. It actually came off the US Netflix before Christmas, apparently.
That's probably why I say it, because Peacock or NBC were acquiring the rights, or NBC probably owned the rights. Was it on NBC? Was it an NBC show?
It was an NBC show because I'm actually watching it for the first time through since it came onto Netflix.
Yeah.
So I've been obviously, reading stuff about it as I'm watching it, and
it is. Yeah, it's an NBC show. It's a great show too, one of the best of all time. But
what I was going to say is that the head of NBC at the time changed, and that's why, and wasn't a fan of Steve Carell, and that's why they didn't renegotiate Steve Carell's contract.
Oh, is that why he disappeared? So
for the final 2 seasons, yeah.
Yeah.
Little bit of trivia for you, but this isn't an Office podcast. You can go and actually watch the official Office podcast for that and get actual insights to that. That's actually a good show. The actual podcast.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's the actresses who play Angela and Pam.
Oh, yes.
They do a podcast, like it's going through the entire show. So episode 1 of the podcast is the first episode of the show, and they go from there. So and it gives you little filming anecdotes for each episode. So yeah, but this is turning into an Office thing because we were talking about NBC, but
yeah,
because I saw Kevin Owens' tweet. Is that what you were referring to earlier as well?
Yeah, that you can watch The Office and wrestling in the same place now.
Yeah, Kevin Owens was like Michael Scott, Dwight Schrute, and Kevin Owens in the same place.
Yeah. So yeah, so it is actually good. It's a good deal in the sense that like you can basically get the network for half price if you want. But yeah, it doesn't affect the European market and well anywhere outside North America as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So it won't affect us or anything.
It'll be interesting to see though, because like the way, and it was the same way when the network originally rolled out, these things always started in America. So it'll be interesting to see in 1 or 2 years' time, does a similar deal happen in Europe and in Canada and all these places. So that'll be interesting.
Because like when you think about it, like who would take it up here? Would it be like
the RTE player?
The RTE player, that was my idea. Virgin Media player. I don't know, maybe BBC iPlayer or something, or
I think you could easily put it onto Netflix from here, like European version of Netflix, or Amazon Prime or something like that, you know.
Yeah, but I just want to know how it works with live things, because I know with Netflix there's nothing live on Netflix, so like, you know, I'd love to know how that will work. I don't know. I'm
not sure.
Yeah, not my area of expertise at all. So I'm not even going to begin to try and guess how that works. But, so yeah, WWE is after making a fair bit of money in the last couple of days, or well, a deal worth a fair bit of money over the next couple of years. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Whether it'll be worse or better. I'm not sure. It's not starting at the Rumble. I think it's starting in March, as far as you know, the deal. I think it's
WrestleMania, is it?
No, I think it's just before WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania might be the first pay-per-view they do.
That's great. There'll be a lot of complications around WrestleMania time then, so great idea.
I think that's what it's not. I think that it's not going to be. It's not for the Rumble anyway. I know that. I think it's March is when they're launching it. But again, not entirely sure on that one. Yeah. So other than that, I don't think there's any other news really. It's been kind of Rumble.
So we might as well get into it. Royal Rumble 2021. Do you want to get the card up, or will I?
I have it there.
You're always prepared. Go on.
Always prepared. So we'll break down the undercard first. There's not a lot of matches announced. There's only 3 non-Rumble matches. Oops, dropped my phone. But so the first match is probably the least exciting match by far of all of them. It is the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. It is the Women's Tag Team Champions, Asuka and Charlotte Flair, defending their titles against the women they took it from, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Who do you have and why, Jack?
I'm going to Asuka and Charlotte Flair to win. I think there's more to the story with Asuka and Charlotte Flair, and I think there's more to the story involving Lacey Evans too. So yeah, I think Asuka and Charlotte Flair will get the win.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Asuka and Charlotte Flair win too. I think I could see a situation where Lacey comes out, distracts Charlotte, and Charlotte gets pinned and costs the match for the team, and then Asuka's like snapping at Charlotte, and that sets up a match between them in the future. Maybe not for Mania, but going into like Elimination Chamber or something.
What I could see happening is Charlotte, like same kind of similar thing, that Lacey Evans comes out and Charlotte goes after her and leaves Asuka, and Asuka has to face the two of them, and Asuka still wins, but then it creates that little bit of tension that Charlotte just abandoned her.
Yeah.
Type thing. So
maybe, I don't know. I think Asuka and Charlotte are going to win. I mean, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are they're just boring now as a team, and like, the women's tag titles are boring anyway. You know what I mean? They're dead in the water to me anyway. They are. I mean, I've harped on about this before anyway, but
yeah, like,
just do away with them. Just get rid of them. I'm sorry, but like, I'm not a fan of the women's tag titles. There's just not enough women's tag teams, and they just don't put the proper story behind them anyway. But yeah, I'll play it safe and go Asuka and Charlotte to retain. Next up, it is a last man standing match for the WWE Universal Championship. It is Universal Champion Roman Reigns defending his title against Kevin Owens. And a bit of background before we get into this: this was originally meant to be a no disqualification match between Roman Reigns and Adam Pearce. And what happened was Adam Pearce got beat down a couple of weeks back on SmackDown by Roman and Jey Uso. And Adam Pearce said he wouldn't be medically cleared for the Rumble, and as a WWE official, he was allowed to make a replacement, and his replacement was Kevin Owens, and then it was later made a last man standing match. Kevin Owens loves having last man standing matches at the Rumble.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, who do you have and why?
This is one of my pet peeves in wrestling, because we all know Roman Reigns is going to win here. Like it's it's just inevitable.
It is.
And that's fair enough. But what my gripe is and my pet peeve is when it's so obvious that you're trying to build this guy in Roman, and he's obviously going into Mania with the title. You take a guy who had a lot of steam in Kevin Owens, and you have him lose twice to him. Like, there was plenty of other people you could have put in this position against Roman, but like the momentum that Kevin Owens had going into it, now Roman just beats him twice and it's back to Kevin Owens as being Kevin Owens, rather than him getting screwed kind of once in the first kind of match like he did at TLC, and instead then you could have Kevin Owens declare himself the Royal Rumble and say, like, I'm going to go for it, and he would be a legitimate contender then, rather than just shoehorning him into another match.
What you're forgetting is if when he inevitably loses at the Rumble, it'll be his third time, because he lost on SmackDown in the cage match as well.
Oh, he did, yeah. He lost, yeah. So, it's so stupid. So, plenty of other people that could have got the spot. Like, the Royal Rumble... Yeah, and like the Royal Rumble has produced kind of obscure title matches, like Lesnar, Bob Holly was one.
That is the one. That's the top of the pyramid.
Yeah,
but like I was like Edge, Dolph Ziggler was another one that springs to mind in 2011, I think.
Yeah,
and then there was Punk and Ziggler in 2012.
Yeah, so but like give someone like that. Give, like, even if you did champion versus champion, Big E versus Roman, and just have Big E be close in Osaka, but like make it look like he's won for the future and stuff, rather than just beating Kevin Owens 3 times now, and then Roman or Kevin Owens will go into Mania with no momentum. Like, it's just,
and like what, and then like the question is, what's he going to do at Mania then? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like,
now what? Like, you've lost 3 times to Roman Reigns, so yeah, it's unnecessary. Did the same with and I know he's kind of aligned with him now, but they did the same with Jimmy Uso or
Jey Uso.
Sorry, they did the same with Jey Uso, where he had like a lot of steam coming in with that first match and stuff like that, and then they just overdo these feuds. Like, for me, if someone as dominant as Roman is supposed to be, if he beats you once, he beats you. That's it.
Yeah.
Get no second chances.
With his character as well, it kind of doesn't make sense for him to give anyone second chances. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like in that logic, right? Like, Mike Tyson in 1989, 1990 wasn't giving people rematches that he knocked out after a minute and a half. Like, makes no sense. And to me, this makes no sense either. When you have these like dominant wins, and I know there was kind of, like, what would you say, shenanigans in the Roman matches, which for me there shouldn't be anyway. But I know there was, but he should be beating these people clean anyway. But even at that, you get sick of seeing these matches then, and to the point where you just don't want to see them anymore. There's not much more they can do. Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, I get you, and I do agree in the sense that like WWE love like finding like they love finding, say, a match that works out really well, and it turns out that it's like it steals the show one night, and then they just do it to death because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, this is people like this, we'll just keep giving people this, and they won't get tired of it. But we do, and
Like it's the analogy of I like steak, but if I have it every single night
yeah,
for
I
a
can see it,
month,
like,
I then I won't like steak anymore. Like it's
yeah,
just sickening the amount of times they like overdo feuds. Like even in the last 12 months, like Randy Drew comes to mind.
yeah,
Good matches, but like I just saw him way too many times. Baron Corbin has made a career out of it,
yeah,
of
literally.
just overdoing feuds. Like it's
You could,
just
and you could even go further back and say the likes of like Orton and Cena. Do you know what I mean? Like that match was just done to death
yeah.
several times over a time frame of
Or
many years.
even again this year, Ray and Seth like
Oh
went
yeah, literally,
way
yeah, yeah.
overboard. Like it's just that went across brands. That followed a draft.
That
Like
went, I think, for, I'm gonna say, 6 months. That literally went on for. I think it went for April to October, or
yeah,
maybe November. So it could have been 6 to 7 months that feud went on for, which is a mental amount of time for a mid card feud.
yeah,
And like, yeah, and yeah, WWE are serious, are kind of repeat offenders of doing the same feud. Like, and like, don't get me wrong, all right, sometimes it's necessary to have, say, a trilogy of matches in a feud, or have 2 matches in a feud, or whatever. But like, sometimes one is fine. Sometimes you can just be one and done. Like, even with like the Jey Uso match, take the Jey Uso match into, or Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. Like, they've had their first match at Clash of Champions, and it was a definitive loss for
mm.
Jey Uso, right? Like, Roman Reigns just clearly won, right? Fair enough. And like, you can be like, yeah, Jey didn't deserve a rematch. But you can make the argument that, like, Roman didn't want to beat him. He wanted Jey to acknowledge him as the head of the table and stuff. So, like, he was going to give him one more match, but if he lost, he had to acknowledge him. Whatever. But then again, that was I'm not going to say an overbooked mess, because it was good, but it was overbooked in the sense that it was a I Quit Hell in a Cell match. Like, pick one or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you move on, right? The next feud after that, of course, is the Kevin Owens feud. And okay, first match is at TLC, and like, yeah, like, again, really good match. Like, Roman won, which is what everyone expected, but but they told a story that Kevin Owens, won't stay down. He keeps on fighting, and that, like, he can't, he would not be put away by Roman, but Roman just got kind of, I suppose, lucky. And that's fine. And you could argue the rematch, and I could forgive the rematch because they did it on TV. That it's not like it took up a pay, because I was like, all right, now they're just going to move on to the next feud for the pay per view. But then, like, they're like, oh, they screwed Owens in the cage match because they handcuffed him to the cell and stuff. Like, but like, it's a cage match as well. It's not necessarily rules to follow. You know what I mean? It's not like it was a normal match and he got handcuffed. Like, fair enough then, but like, it's a cage match. You kind of, whatever happens within the walls of the cage, is legal and binding. So, yeah, and then when you had the gauntlet match to determine the number one contender, and Nakamura went on that ridiculous run and turned babyface in that match, and like, just became the Nakamura of old, and then in the very end, obviously got beat down, and Adam Pearce won it. Like, it just made all the sense in the world that when Adam Pearce announced his replacement, why not announce Nakamura as the replacement? It's a fresh match. It's a match we've never seen in a proper match, as far as I can remember, anyway. And like, I mean, yeah, Nakamura's not going to win, but like, at least it'll be a good match. And it's not something we've seen before. I mean, no one's asking different. And we're not asking for Nakamura to win, but it's a chance for Roman to impose his will and prove himself against a different type of opponent, and show that, like, it doesn't matter if you're his own blood relative, if you're a brawler like Kevin Owens, or if you're if you're a strong style aficionado like Nakamura, he's still going to put you down. And it does. Like, I don't get me wrong, it's probably going to be a fun match between him and Owens at the Rumble, but like at this stage, who really cares? Because like we know that Owens isn't going to win, and we know that we know Roman's going to Mania as champion, But I mean, like, there's never say never, but like he's really not going to win, is he? Like, Owens isn't going to win this match, and
No.
if it would actually be even worse booking if Owens wins this match, to be fair, because you just immediately torpedo the Roman character, and which is probably the best thing they have going currently in WWE.
Yeah.
So it's and that's the thing as well. You kind of run into you run the risk of like being like, oh, will we swerve for swerve's sake? Do you know what I mean? Like, just kind of like.
Yeah, but they're not going to now.
I know they're not going to, but like there's been cases in other stories where they're just like, oh, we'll just randomly throw this swerve in because people won't expect it, but people are going to be like, that just doesn't make sense anyway.
Like Orton beating Drew.
Yeah, or what was another example? Like, there was something with the Wyatts. It was like when the Wyatts and Lesnar.
Yeah.
Do you remember when?
I know they eliminated him from the Rumble.
It was like that, but then like they kind of like randomly just changed automatically and went with Ambrose.
Oh yeah.
And then it was like swerve, like no one saw Ambrose coming, like, but we were like, yeah, but like.
And that match ended up being terrible.
Yeah, but it was like, yeah, but and Bray Wyatt ended up doing nothing at the show, so it was like, but like Bray Wyatt
or The Rock, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and so like Bray Wyatt would have made sense at least. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
So
but anyway, we'll move on.
So this is the final match before the two Rumble matches. It is. Oh, it's also the most worrying match. It is the WWE Championship match between WWE Champion Drew McIntyre defending his title against Goldberg. Jack, who do you have on this one and why?
I cautiously say Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
Hence, cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily see Goldberg winning this.
You know what, right? There's one thing making me pick Drew, like definitively picking Drew. And that's this past week on Raw, he cut a promo saying he was dedicating the match on Sunday to all the people battling COVID. So if he loses, this is
the same company who Davey Boy Smith, not Davey Boy Smith Jr., Davey Boy Smith, dedicated his European title match in the UK against Shawn Michaels to his sister who had terminal cancer, and he lost.
Yeah, but that was also the 90s and Shawn Michaels.
But he was supposed to win, and Vince was convinced to change the match. And who is notorious, other than Shawn Michaels, to convince Vince McMahon to change the finish of the match?
Yeah. And the hilarious thing is that, like, let's say that happens. I'm not even going to speak it because I don't want to manifest it. But if, let's say that happens, he'll come out on Raw the following night. That's like, and portray himself as a babyface. Like, he'll see himself as like this hero.
He did with the Fiend, sure.
Yeah, he thought he was this babyface. And granted, yeah, the Fiend was a heel, but like, no one wanted that.
Yeah.
And they're going to put him in, like, if that happens, it'll come WrestleMania time. They'll put him in with, like, I don't know. I have no idea. I actually don't even know. Like, who would he wrestle if he's champion at Mania besides Brock? I suppose Brock.
Edge.
Cena,
maybe. Drew again, maybe.
Drew again.
Do a rematch.
Drew is the only one of the current roster who I could see facing him at Mania. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, like, not a part-timer. I think the only other options are part-timers. I think I would say the only other options are Brock again, or Cena. I think Cena is the best call. If they can do that, I would do that.
I'd love what they should do is they should if they want Goldberg to be champion, they should put him in there with Daniel Bryan, and it'd be like that William Regal match that Goldberg had on Nitro, where Daniel Bryan just makes a fool of him and just shows that he can't wrestle.
Yeah, and just like single legs him, and Goldberg just doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah,
just looks confused. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going Drew. I think what we could see is like spear, jackhammer, Drew kicks out at 1, and then second spear into a claymore, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
I think that's because let's face it, this isn't going to be over 5 minutes.
No,
like this is going to be a 2-minute match, and I reckon that's exactly how it should be done. Spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, or 1 kick out.
I'll be so nervous if he hits the spear straight out of the bat, like.
But that's the thing, isn't it? That's the one thing about Goldberg matches is when you want him to lose, is it just becomes so much more nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's mad. Like the Goldberg is such an interesting thing to look at now, because when you look at when he was in WCW and when he was in his prime, and like how he was literally the most over thing in the company, and like and by far and away the best thing they've ever organically produced, and like compared to him now, where he is literally, when he rocks up, people are actually nervous as to what he's going to fuck up this time.
But it was 22 years ago.
No, I know, but it's crazy to see like the shit. Like I'm not sure if there's been a legend, say, that has like had a crowd turn on them so drastically.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, true, but that wasn't down. That was more down to Hogan's personal views more than anything.
Even before that thing came out about Hogan, I think like TNA people were at a point that got to a stage towards his end of his run in TNA where people were just pissed off with him.
Yeah, I suppose, but Goldberg is the one where like if it's mental to watch old Goldberg matches now and just see the crowd going bananas for everything he does.
But see, the thing is, right?
Like, or even sorry now, but like even when he came back in 2016, and like that crowd was just electric for him, like.
But see, the thing is, right? To an extent, I don't blame Goldberg. I blame him for the Fiend thing, because he was the one that went to Vince and shouldn't. But it's also Vince's fault for listening and not having the force to realize that this is a bad idea. And like think back to when he wrestled Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam. That's what you should have Goldberg for.
Yeah.
People love that. People got
that was brilliant. And it was brilliant. Like it was great. Like it was
used for it. No title feud, no nothing. You know, just put him in there, have him annihilate a fella that you don't have that much stock in anyway, but is still credible, which is Dolph Ziggler. And just have him annihilate him and go home.
Yeah, like
Bill collects his check and everyone goes home happy.
Yeah, like would anyone complain if, say, at Mania, Goldberg's match was King Corbin and he just speared him 5 times and left?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's something that like no one's going to be like, everyone's going to be like, yeah, that'll be brilliant. That's a great way to like bring the crowd down before you put him into the next big match. Like, do you know what I mean?
Or someone like Elias or someone like that, where they come out, sing a little song about how WCW and how he's a dinosaur and all this, and then have Goldberg spare him out of his boots and let's go home. Like, great, like, Goldberg. But
that is the only, like, that is the only use for Goldberg now. I like literally, if you could, I wouldn't even have Goldberg wrestle matches. It would literally just be showing up to spear the bejesus out of someone and leave.
But I still think there's value in certain Goldberg matches, but it's Goldberg matches that are non-title and wrestling part-time. like wrestling other part timers. Like I still think there's money in a Cena Goldberg match.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the only match in my head anyway that like I'd be willing to see Cena Goldberg.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's because there's no title on the line or anything.
yeah,
Listen, if they turned around in the morning and was like, Triple H is going to wrestle Goldberg at Mania, I'd be down for it. Okay, let's see if they can still go, the two of them, old men.
well, we
would.
know they can't. No, I know. I mean, like I'd be like grand because I know they're not going to be involved in anything else. But like, and I would be excited for it because I'd love to see. I'd want to see what happens. But like, I'd also be like, they're both men in their 50s now. Like, I know this isn't going to be, 5-star classic kind of thing. Like, but
Or like a Goldberg Shane McMahon match. Just have Shane kill himself out there.
Yeah. I would,
and,
I'd watch it alone to see Shane do a coast to coast into a spear and just get murked.
Yeah, like those are matches that Goldberg needs to be in, not this.
Nah,
but you're going Drew as well, are you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I think I literally have it in my head exactly as I said there, like spear, jackhammer, 1 count, another spear into a claymore, 1, 2, 3. That's literally going to
go. So we'll move on and we'll talk about
the Rumbles. The Rumble. So we'll do the women's one first.
Okay, so for this, do you want to do? We'll go winner. We'll go most eliminations, and we'll go the long spot. I'm trying to think who.
The Iron Man.
The Iron Man. Yeah, the Iron Man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Well, there's only 12 women currently announced. I'll just run through them quickly there now. So far announced for the women's Royal Rumble match is Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Peyton Royce, Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, and Tamina. Right. Winner.
Charlotte Flair.
Right. Okay.
I saw your.
She was. Go on. Finish. Sorry.
I saw your tentative pause.
No, because the thing is, right, she was my early pick. Like she was my pick before she came back. I could have seen her returning in the Rumble and winning it. That was my original plan. But she obviously came back then at TLC. And yeah. She's automatically a favorite to win it once she's in there. You know what I mean? It's you can't.
Well, listen, why else would they have her be tag team champions with the champion if they're not going to do the whole they're feuding, they're going to face each other at WrestleMania, but they're tag team champions, but do they actually get along? That's going to be the story for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
And then they're going to eventually lose the titles, the tag titles. We've seen this story so many times. And it's going to go into Mania, Charlotte and Asuka. That's how I think it's going to go.
You're probably right. See, I'm going... Okay. Mine isn't outlandish. Okay? It's not like it's going to be like... It's not like I'm predicting fucking Trish Stratus to win this or anything but like I am predicting someone who's not announced, which is always a risk. It also involves so I'm picking Rhea Ripley. Because the way I see it happening is Rhea wins the Rumble. She comes in surprise entrant, wins the Rumble. And then I think what happens is somewhere or another, it ends up being Asuka versus Charlotte or let's say they do a women's elimination chamber, and Asuka gets eliminated via weird screwy thing or something like that. You know what I mean? She gets something weird happens that Asuka gets eliminated, so it's immediate that there's going to be a new champion. And let's say she gets attacked backstage, right? And she's taken out of the match immediately, right? So she never even makes it to the chamber. So then it's straight after that, everyone announces play up. There's going to be a new champion. And Charlotte's already in the match. Charlotte wins the match. Charlotte becomes the new Raw Women's Champion. And then the chamber lifts up, out comes Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley's like, "You did it to me last year, whatever. Let's rematch at Mania, you and me, for the Raw Women's title." And then you can have Asuka come out then, either on Raw or whenever, and announce that, or reveal that it was Charlotte who attacked her at Elimination Chamber and took her out of the match. So she's like, "I have a claim to this as well." And you do a triple threat with Charlotte, Rhea, and Asuka, because you have the Charlotte and Rhea storyline, you have the Asuka and Charlotte storyline, and it's just a new dynamic to the whole feud. And you do Asuka and Rhea, which is something we've never seen before. And I think
go on.
No, I was going to say, and any one of them then is viable to win it. I mean, I would think that match would be fairly hard to actually predict. But yeah, like in my head, I can see it boiling down to Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. I think they'll be the final two, and I think it'll be a glimpse at what the women's division is in store for the next 5-10 years. You know what I mean? Like it's showing that the women's division is in safe hands for the foreseeable. I know Bianca is still the bookies' favorite to win the match, but I don't think she will.
I think she's going to be. I think she's going to be the Iron Man. I think she's going to start early and be there till the end.
Yeah, I'm tentative to say that'll be her and Sasha at Mania. That's what I want, but I don't know if it will be.
Maybe. I could see a triple threat with her, Sasha, and Bayley.
Yeah, I could too. But then I don't want to do 2 triple threats then for the women's.
But see, I think it's going to be Asuka and Charlotte.
Yeah, fair.
I think Rhea Ripley might come in here and get most eliminations, and that's it. I think. I don't see her being in a major feud at WrestleMania, unfortunately. Vince has a very sketchy history of people debuting around the Rumble time, and just him not going with him and being like, "Well, we'll sort him out after Mania. We'll get through Mania first, and then we'll have a look at him." You know, Aleister Black was one, Ricochet was another, Shayna Baszler to an extent, although she got a high-profile match, but she definitely should have won it. But like, you know.
Remember when Finn Balor was injured and everyone knew he was cleared for the Rumble, but then they just waited until after WrestleMania. Question for it: does Ronda Rousey return?
No, because I think if Ronda Rousey returns, she has to win.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she?
So I don't think. Now, she's been teasing it online. I saw Natalia was talking about it during the week.
And you saw the thing I sent you as well.
Yeah. So, you know, could easily happen, but if she returns, she wins. And I don't see what the match for Mania is with her, because I don't see him going Ronda Asuka, and I don't really see him going Ronda Sasha either.
Well, they already did it, like, so
they already did, but you could definitely do it again. But like, unless Charlotte beat Asuka at some point and you go Ronda Charlotte.
Yeah, because the only match for Ronda in WWE is Becky in a singles match.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not possible right now. So.
Well, Becky's like 8-1 to win the Rumble. She's shorter odds than Ronda.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how maternity leave works in WWE. I don't know how Vince handles maternity leave, but
according to Jim Cornette, he should have fired.
Yeah, well, there's a reason Jim Cornette doesn't have a wrestling company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm going Rhea to win it. I think you're the safer bet with Charlotte, but I'm going the wild card. Most eliminations, I'm gonna say most eliminations. She did it last year. I'm gonna say Bianca Belair again. And longest lasting, I'm gonna say longest lasting. I just want to say Bianca for everything, but longest lasting, I'm going to say Liv Morgan. You know, she seems like a pure person who'll hang in there for ages.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Probably not, but you know. Are you done about that match, or are you good to move on? Yeah.
I'm good to move on. Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, it's the men's Royal Rumble match. I'm not going to say the main event because I don't know if it's going on last. It might and it mightn't. But the men's Royal Rumble match, and like I said, this one is harder to predict for me. The women's one is fairly clear cut to me, but the men's one's tricky enough. There's 17 participants announced, so few more than the women. Announced are Daniel Bryan, Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Otis, The Miz, Jey Uso, Cesaro, Jeff Hardy, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura, Big E, John Morrison, Sheamus, Mustafa Ali, and Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the winner.
I have my winner.
I think I know who your winner is.
Do you?
I don't know. I think you might have told me, but I think I know who your winner is. I know it's someone controversial anyway. Someone who's not in the match.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. It's Billy Goldberg.
I am.
It's Bill Goldberg.
Is it actually?
Yeah. I think they're going to do it.
I thought you were going to say Cena.
I wouldn't surprise me if Cena wins it either. Cena was my pick, actually, up until I heard that WrestleVotes thing where they were saying that it's very scary. And
yeah,
the
scary
those
thing
bastards, they're going to do it.
That has to be it. Like the scary option has to be that.
It's either that or Brock.
I could get over Brock. I
still think that if someone was to say that it's scary and people aren't going to like it, I think Brock still fits into that category as well.
Yeah, because obviously he's been gone for fucking ages, and now he's just going to rock up and win the Rumble. But
unless it's the Undertaker.
Nah. I saw because actually WrestleVotes had another thing out. They were reporting that like apparently Goldberg is confirmed for Mania. Cena is practically a done deal for Mania. There's been no word on Brock yet, and there's been no word on Taker yet. Apparently they've put out feelers for him to wrestle.
For fuck's sake. for him to wrestle.
Yeah, but
for fuck's sake.
But apparently, the majority of the roster. No, but listen,
retired in November. It's January. Come on, Vince. Get yourself together, man.
But apparently, the majority of the roster think that he's done, so they don't think it was just Vince chancing his arm.
I read that Mania this year is going to be very legend centric.
Oh, why?
I read that. I read. It's not necessarily going to be legends all wrestling, but it's going to be very nostalgia. I heard Nash, Hall, and Hogan are confirmed for it as well. Not confirmed, but like WrestleVotes are reporting that they're a done deal for the show too.
Apparently, the Hall of Fame is meant to be happening this year as well, and they're the NWO.
I know that, but they're booked for Mania. Like I think. The way WrestleVotes put it is that they're going to do like a lot of legends putting their stamp of approval on the new stars.
Good, because we need that to know who's good and who's not. Like,
we need Hulk Hogan. We're going to get Hulk Hogan out there telling people that Keith Lee is the man, aren't we?
Yeah, Big E is a good wrestler.
Oh God.
But so you're going Big Billy Goldberg, so.
And we'll get Goldberg and Roman at Mania.
See, that's the thing. I can't get that tweet out of my head. It's like it's haunting me in the back of my mind.
He was on the bump about 2 weeks ago as well, and he was like, "Don't." They were asking about Drew McIntyre or something, and he was like, "Don't think I've forgotten about Roman," or he had like a flippant comment about it.
No.
Like, oh no. But genuinely, I could see Edge winning it. I could see Daniel Bryan winning it. I think.
Brian's my pick.
You think?
Yeah, because I think it's kind of a boring pick because he's the bookie's favorite. I know that's kind of boring, but like I think him and Roman is a match with story behind it. I think it's a Mania caliber main event. I think as well that every year since 2014, WWE have been massively compensating to try and make up for them screwing up Daniel Bryan. And the only thing that will kind of rectify it really is giving him a Rumble win, like, which I feel that they're going to do at some stage. Plus his clock seems kind of fairly limited now. Like he says himself that this is the last full-time run of his career. So if there's ever a time, it's going to be now. So yeah, I think Bryan wins and it's Bryan Roman at Mania. Tentatively saying that. I mean, like, the more likely pick is probably Goldberg, let's be honest. But like, yeah, I'm scared for this one. I have a few predictions for surprises, to be fair.
Go on.
I think we'll see Damian Priest. I think we'll see Tommaso Ciampa. I think we'll see. Oh crap! That escaped my mind. I had another one. I had a return. Oh.
I'm trying to think, like, current superstar.
Shit! It's got Andrade. I think Andrade will return.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not going to say Aleister Black because apparently he hasn't been backstage in months. Apparently he's literally just sitting at home. So I'd imagine he's probably, if anything, he's going for his release.
Why is that? Is it like it's the
apparently WWE just have nothing for him. They've forgotten about him. Essentially, they're
shame. Like,
yeah,
like it obviously has something got to do with Zelina as well. Like that doesn't that's a big elephant in the room for them, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But like that is because what a star he is.
And like the thing is as well that like these are his prime years. Like I mean, like he needs to get going if he wants to make the most of his time. Like so.
Yeah. I think actually for the women's rumble, I think we're going to see Eva Marie, and I think we're going to see Melina.
Yeah.
I think because both have apparently are apparently re-signed with the company. Waiting to debut. Like I think Melina got injured before her debut was supposed to happen. I can't remember what debut or what match it was supposed to happen at, but I think the injury is up around now, so I could definitely see her in the match. I think Eva Marie is a banker. She's been spotted at the Performance Center and everything, so I think she's gonna be in this match.
Maybe, yeah.
I could definitely see like the Hurricane. Just because he was on that AEW show, they're gonna, do their best to erase that.
Who lasts longest?
Nakamura.
And most eliminations?
Biggie.
Yeah, okay.
I would say either Biggie or Keith Lee.
Yeah.
One of those two men.
You know who's a shout to return as well, actually? Rollins. Rollins can return.
Yeah, I think Rollins. Yeah, I think Rollins will.
Here's my prediction. Rollins returns, eliminates Edge. That's the match at Mania.
You think it's Rollins and Edge at Mania?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Edge and Randy. So
I think it's going to be Edge and AJ.
It could be Edge and AJ. It could be that too.
I think that's what I think it's going to be. I genuinely, I'm not even joking. I think it's going to be Seth and Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. I'm not joking. I genuinely think it will be.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Let's pray that's not true though. So that's the Rumble.
Yeah, we'll probably leave it there.
It's this Sunday. We'll all watch tentatively as Goldberg potentially wins the Rumble. Oh no. If that happens, I'll be so sad. So yeah, that's been us. Don't forget to follow us at JB Wrestling 1998 on Twitter. Enjoy the Rumble and stay tuned for announcements of potential guests and also for all our future podcasts where we talk about all the pay-per-views and the reviews and the news and what have you. So yeah, that's been us. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening.